Hey there everybody, welcome to a gorgeous Colorado Sunday. Today I'm pitting two of my grills together, my Recteq 700 Pellet grill against my Weber gas grill. We're gonna smoke some spare ribs, let's get to it. All right, welcome back. So the plan today is to pit these two grills together, and I'm going to smoke some spare ribs on the Weber using some pecan wood chips and some hickory wood chunks. On the pellet grill, I've got a mixture of different oak pellet in there from Recteq, and that thing is a dream. We know how that one cooks, but really want to see how well we can cook ribs here. Let's put some chips on here and get the smoke going. Okay, so we'll let the wood chips burn down, get a nice layer of coals going, and we'll put some of these chunks of hickory on there. Let's let it do its job. While the wood chunks are burning down out on the gas grill, we've got two beautiful pork spare ribs, already trimmed out, St. Louis style. Let's go ahead and open these up. Let's go ahead and trim some of this up. You see this fat right here? This is a standard, just like I showed you on that last video. We got a little bit of fat here. We'll pull that up. Looks like we still have a little bit of that belly on this. We'll take that off. There's just layers of fat underneath that won't render. Let's take a look at the back. On this one, we're going to cut the skirt. It has a tiny skirt, which isn't bad. So while we're on this one, I'm going to show you this. You run your hands down the edges where the bones are cut, and right here you can see there's a chunk of bone right there. So when the processors are doing these mass produced, they get chips of bones at times. So on this one, we're just making another chip. Make sure you get all the chips out. No more. There we go. And where's that last little bone at? There's one tiny bone right here. We're gonna get rid of that. Don't need that. Other than that, that looks pretty square. That one is good to go. We'll take off this membrane in just a second. Okay, time for the silver skin now. And let's see if we can get this off in one part, one piece. All right, so let's move this over here. We will do a little bit of slather. We'll do some mustard here as a binder for our rub. Don't need too much, just enough for the rub to adhere to. So we have our rub here. This is just salt, pepper, and garlic. We will add additional seasoning later on just before we wrap. We're gonna wrap these today. And we're gonna do it in foil. It'll be a little different than last time. Don't forget the size. Okay, we'll let this sit for about 15 minutes. We're gonna go outside and check the wood chips and see if it's time to put the wood chunks on. Okay, so the temperature gauge here is reading 300, but I know that's not correct on the inside. Looks like it's rolling about 258, 260. I'll see if I can bump this down just a tad. We've got some smoke coming off of here, which is good. I'm gonna go ahead and lay this hickory on here on top of this. Okay, so I have the temperature on this one running right at about that 250, 280 mark. It's gonna take a bit of fire management on this one to watch and tend to a bit more. This one is almost a set and forget. It really, not an almost, it is a set and forget. That's tried and true. Recteq is king for me, but the whole point of pitting these two together is to see if we can actually get good smoke color on these ribs. And for anybody out there that has a gas grill that wants to start playing around with smoke, just showing you one of the ways that you could do this. There's also little smoke tubes you can do. There's research on the internet, you can find that out. But with this way, this is a new way I'm trying it, and I think it's gonna turn out good. So let's go ahead and let these sit, and we'll be back out here in a minute to put the ribs on. So you can see the smoke the Recteq puts out. I just put the water pan in, that thing right there. I love this Recteq. And my smoke box, ooh, there'll be time to do fish on here in the near future. So, and on the Weber, we just put the water pan up there. I'm gonna put it up on top. You can see we're rocking right at about 250 right there. Well, we got a little fire going there. We'll put these right here. Tell you what, we're gonna put them like this. Okay, so you take these. When you put the ribs on, you always kind of want to scrunch them together instead of being stretched out. So go right in the middle. When you scrunch these together, that's how they'll cook, and they'll come out like that. So we will let that sit just like that. Water pans in, let's shut the lids. We'll kill that fire in a second. There we go. So time is, what time is it? I have no idea. Anytime, do you know what time it is? The time is 11:30 right now. Plan with this is to let them cook for 2 hours. We'll take a quick peek, see what kind of color we got. Probably gonna press it about 3 hours before we wrap. I'm not doing a 3-2-1 method. This is, we're gonna cook this to fill, not to temperature. And I will be watching the fire, tending the fire on the Weber during this whole time as well, just to make sure that we don't go too hot. All right, we'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay, so it's been 3 hours. It's time to take a look at these ribs. Looking good. That's on the Recteq. Be time to spritz those. Let's take a look at our gas. Not too bad. They're not dried out as much on the top there. Okay, and we definitely have pullback on the bone. It's about time to wrap. Okay, so I decided to let these ribs stay on about another 30 to 45 minutes. I bumped the temps up to 275 on both grills. We'll let that go before we wrap them in foil. Okay, so let's pull these off. Oh, look at that. So these have been on 3.5 hours. That's the Recteq. this is the Weber. So the thinner one is the Weber. Let's go take these inside and wrap. Okay, so I pulled both of these off at 3.5 hour mark. It's time to wrap them in foil. Before we put them in foil, we're gonna put some 4 cubes of butter, a little bit of honey, I'm going to put some Blue Hog Original and a Blue Hog Raspberry Chipotle mix. I thinned it out with just water. Just adding some different layers of flavor. There we go. So this one is from the Weber. We'll put that meat side down. Put a little sauce here on the back end, on the bone side. I'm not trying to rub the rub off by brushing. There we go. So that's the first one. You have to be careful that the bones don't break your, or rip open your foil. And we will put these meat side down when we put them back on the grill. Okay, same thing. Put our butter. And when we wrap these up in foil, to be fair, I've been cooking on the Weber gas grill. Right now, you can just put it on one grill because all we're concerned about is the heat. But to be fair, we'll go ahead and continue cooking on the gas grill as well. This is the Recteq ribs. There we go. Now some people might put the bone side down. Really is up to you. There we go. Bottom one is the Recteq. This is the Weber. Put those there. The heat. That says about 300. This is 275. Bump that down just a tad. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and let both of these racks of ribs stay in their respective cookers. Here in about maybe an hour and a half, I'll start checking them to see how they feel. Cooking to tenderness, not cooking to temperature. And once they feel just right, I'll pull them out. We'll get them out of the foil, sauce them, and we'll set them back in the cookers for about another 10-15 minutes. That way it'll set. But let's go ahead and let these suckers cook for another hour and a half. We'll see you in a little bit. All right, so let's take a look. Oh, these are more than done. So we're gonna foil load these. Turn these over carefully. Like this. Look at that color. And let's put some sauce on them. Once we get sauce on here, we're gonna let them go for about 15 minutes to get the sauce to set. things are going to be fall off the bone for you. Okie dokie, let's close that. Oh yeah, those are nice. Yep, nice and soft. Same thing. We make a foil boat. Turn these over carefully. There we go. I'm gonna sauce these up. Push those back. There we go. Foil boat. We'll let those go for about another 15 more minutes. Let the sauce set, and then we'll bring them inside, let them rest before we cut them open, and about ready to eat. There we go. Those have set nicely. That's the Recteq. Here's the Weber. There we go. All right, so we brought these in. We will let them rest for just a few minutes. These things feel wonderful. You can look at the pullback on the bone right there. You can see definitely the flop on these things. This one right here, this is off the Weber, and this one is off the Recteq. So we'll let these rest for about 10 minutes or so, then we will cut them open, take a look, see if we can see a smoke ring, and do a quick taste test before we sit at the table and have dinner. Okay, so now it is time to cut into these, and let's check them out. Let's turn it upside down real quick. Yeah, so I was cutting him differently. Okay, so we'll start here in the middle. Let's take a look. Grab one of these bigger pieces. You can see right here, ever so slight smoke ring, not very much. This is on the Weber. Very juicy. You can see that. Let's go ahead and do a taste test real quick. Very moist. Fall off the bone. Very good. Seasoned well. All right. Now we'll go to the Recteq. There's a more pronounced smoke ring. You can see that all the way around. A little bit of the white in the middle. I did a little higher cook this time instead of slow cook, but ribs, you know, they don't take very long to take on the smoke, and the lower the temperature, the more smoke they're going to take. That looks really nice, really juicy, really juicy. Let's take a taste of this one. Oh wow. Fall off the bone on that one. Nice clean bone. Wow. So there we have it. We have the ribs from the Recteq that turned out absolutely fantastic. Nice smoke ring, very juicy. Then we have the ribs from the Weber, where I smoked pecan and hickory just off to the side. Not as pronounced of a smoke ring, but there is a little bit. Okay, this shows you that you can smoke on a Weber. You're not going to get the same smoke ring and probably the same amount of smoke on a gas grill that you would on a pellet grill, but nevertheless, it's still fun to do. Some lessons learned. It took a lot of fire management for me. The temperatures were fluctuating anywhere from about 250 all the way up to about 280. Kept going up and down, up and down. So not a very consistent temperature. On the Recteq, 250 the entire time until we wrapped them, bumped it up to 275. That was just perfect. The Recteq ribs turned out, as usual, fantastic. But I tell you what, these ribs from the Weber gas grill, they're not gonna go to waste. We are definitely gonna be eating these. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and plate these onto some butcher paper. We'll get them on the table and we're gonna have dinner and we'll see what camera lady has to say.
Well, as always, goes to the chef. And I'm gonna give the Weber ribs the first try. Very good taste. One of the bone. Let me see compared to the Recteq. The Recteq is my favorite. The meat has much more flavor, a smoky flavor, even though it is the same seasoning. It has the better taste. But as Anthony said, doesn't go to waste. We eat both of them, but the Recteq is definitely my favorite.
So there you have it, straight from camera lady. Kirsten loves it. Her preference is the Recteq, mine as well. There's much more smokiness to it, all around just the rib, because I would say due to the consistent temperature, fall off the bone, texture is quite nice. With the Weber being at the temperature fluctuated up and down, it just doesn't quite have that smokiness, nor the same taste as the Recteq. Both were seasoned exactly the same. There was nothing done differently. The only thing that is different was the wood. I had an oak mix in the Recteq, and this in the Weber had the pecan and the hickory chunks. Other than that, they're both the same. But I tell you what, if I came over to your house and you did the ribs on a Weber like this, I would compliment you because they are actually really good tasting ribs. It's just our preference is the Recteq. So real quick, we have just polished off about 4 rib bones apiece. Let me tell you, Kirsten is saying that is the best meal she has had in quite a long time. And I can tell you that these ribs are better than the one I did a few weeks ago on the video. The huge difference between these two is the one on the Weber is definitely has a bit more dry texture to it due to that fluctuation of the heat. And that Recteq, spot on with that steady temperature. I can tell you, it's a quiet dinner other than, we're loving it. So with that said, now we know that the Recteq 700 beat out the Weber. And with that said, if you like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate you. If you leave me a comment, I promise I'll get back to you. So everybody out there, peace.